I'm Don Jessup. I'm going to be your speaker today, and we're going to talk about how to do one a month. Because in the industry, you have to learn to do one a month before you can do two a month, before you can do, three a month. And if you're doing one every single month, then you get out of the ebbs and flow of the industry. Because what happens is you'll put 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 things into escrow, and then you get stuck trying to close them. And then you don't do any more prospecting or do any more business until they close. And then you have a 3 or 4 month gap before you get the next paycheck. And you put 2 or 3 more in, and you get stuck closing them. And we're going to talk about how you even that out. And no matter if you put 3 in this month, the very next month you need to put 1 in. Okay, so this isn't about just doing 12. If you're doing 1 today and you think you're going to jump to 12, and say hi to Neil. Hi, Neil. And if you don't know, he's the CEO, the guy who runs this place, and and keeps us all going. But the key is, what happens is if we're not consistent in putting 1 a month in, 1 a month in, 1 a month in, you're going to go through a dry period. And we're already, if you put something into escrow, looking at the end of March before you get it closed, unless you have an all-cash buyer and you're doing 15 days. Because you're in the time to get a paycheck is almost over for the first quarter. You got another week or 2 to put something into escrow to get paid by the end of the first quarter. And it's amazing that the first quarter is going by just like that, just like that. You're 50-some days into the year already. Are you making the goals? And we're going to talk about how you do that. And I'm not going to talk in theory. All of this stuff that I brought up, stuff that I use every single day. And the reason I can talk about this stuff is I've been selling real estate for 32 years. I got in 1982. We had 14,000 properties on the market. We had 15.75% interest rates. And my biggest sale was 110,000. And I had the biggest one in the office. And it was like, wow. And, you do 20 to 30 transactions, 20 to 30 transactions, 20 to 30 transactions this time. In this space, you're making a couple $100,000 a year, okay? If you're doing just 12, you're making somewhere between 100 and 300, depending on your price point. If you're selling $350,000 condos, and people go, well, I don't want to do that. Well, 9,000 is better than nothing, right? And if you do 2 or 3 of those, it becomes 18, it becomes 24. It's a pretty good living, okay? But if you're at $350,000 price point, you're making $100,000 at 1 a month. If you're at 800, you're making almost 200. If you're above that, you can make up to 300 doing 1 a month. No other industry provides you with the ability to do that. And I want to talk to you about the business before I get into any techniques. Oh, by the way, you want to do 1 a month? Yes. Anybody? Yes. Anybody? Okay. Okay. Or hey, you're doing more than that. It's okay. But by the way, it's good to have people here that are smarter than me, and I hope I can teach you some stuff. But I'm going to go back to how you get there. But 5 people a day, 5 days a week, 100 people a month that you don't know. Half an hour to an hour. Seminar's over. Go do it. No, I'm kidding. Then 5 people a day in your database, 5 days a week, 100 people. You never have to prospect the rest again in your life. It's not difficult. If you talk to 100 people that don't have the ability to say yes, it doesn't get you anywhere. Okay? If you talk to 100 people that have the ability to say yes to your product, then you should come up with a deal in 100 people. Okay? But we have to identify who those people are. And why are they likely to move? And why are they likely to have the ability to say yes to your proposition, which is selling real estate? You have to understand today, you're not a realtor. Okay? Real estate is the product. Okay? You are in sales. You are in a people-to-people business. You're in a belly-to-belly, face-to-face business. And we're going to talk about Facebook, and we're going to talk about video marketing, and we're going to talk about the things that you have to be doing to be in sales. But we're going to talk first about business, because the biggest thing that I see as an owner of a company, and I talk with people every day, is they don't treat their business like a business. If you were going to go to Apple and expect them to pay you between $100,000 and $300,000 a year, well, you know what? You'd be there at 8 o'clock in the morning and be going home at 5 or 6. And if they wanted you to go abroad, they'd be put you on a plane. If they wanted you to do something in the evening, you'd be doing it. Because people who make $100,000 to $300,000 have expectations on them if you work for a business. The problem in our business is we are our own worst boss. We don't know how to manage ourselves. And we're going to talk a little bit about what it takes to manage yourself. Personally, I'm the first person in the office every day. And I'm one of the last people to leave every day, 5 days a week. And sometimes 6, sometimes 7. You know, if in our business, it has become harder to do one a month than when I first got in. When you had 14,000 listings on the market, there was enough for everybody. Okay? Then it was up to you to just price it right and get the thing sold. You knew it was going to take 6 months to sell a property when I got in the business. Okay? And I was 24, looking 18, and they asked me if I graduated high school. Okay? And it's one of those things where every person will have their stumbling block. Either too new or too old. I always wanted to be 40, so I never got asked how old I was again. And when I got into my mid-50s now, nobody asks, and I'm trying to reverse that process, right? But, you know, it's you're male, you're female, it doesn't matter. What your makeup is, how big you are, how old you are, what your education is. You know, education in real estate, I dare say most of you didn't choose real estate when you were a child, and you know, when you went into school and they say, well, what do you want to be at school? It wasn't a realtor. There may be 1 or 2 people that did, but not very many. You know, maybe you wanted to be a fireman or a policeman or an accountant or something else other than real estate. But because of some circumstance in your life, you got thrust into this business. And whether, like my wife, she's 4'10", 90 pounds, and runs my life. And lets me think I'm in charge once in a while, okay? And people who know her know that to be true, right? And she is a dynamo. And she is a graduated magna cum laude, blah, 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 with her management information systems degree, blah, 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 all the things I didn't do, okay? At 20, I was traveling the world singing Latin and German and Italian, and 250 days a year. And my wife at the time said, you know, I traveled 350 days with you, I'm not doing it anymore. I went, okay, bye. My father-in-law at the time, which is now passed on, that taught me the business, I worked with him for 22 years, said, young man, you need a real job. And I went, what is that? So I got my real estate license and just cut it down to 100 days and started selling real estate. And I had 0 base because I was gone for 250 days a year. So the things that I'm going to tell you today are because I had to do it myself. And, you know, there's no magic in the business. Everything I tell you today is something you probably have heard before. The problem is you haven't taken it and applied it to your life. And the key is to take the principles and get up in the morning. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. You know, when I was preparing to talk to you, started about a month ago, but at 2 this morning, when I couldn't sleep because I was talking to myself about what I was going to talk about today, I was up doing it. And one of the things that you need to realize with time is it goes by. You can't store it, you can't keep it, it just continues to run. And one of the things that I've always lived my life on is that I can sleep when I die. and because there's too much to do. You need to get adequate sleep so you're coherent when you meet with people, and you need to get adequate sleep. But when you get up in the morning, and I'm up at 6 o'clock every morning. I'm not one of those that get up at 5, but the only time I get any real work done is between the hours of 6 and about 9. And then my life takes over as an owner, and people are in and out of my office and that type of thing. And then after 6, I get a lot done when everybody goes home. And we're the only ones here. And one of the things I consistently hear from people is, I don't have enough time to do the things that you're talking about. I don't have enough time to implement the things that you have. Well, you have the same 24 hours as everybody else. And then they say, well, you got help. Well, I'm president of Campbell Kiwanis. I'm on the board of directors here. I own a company with 2 offices. I have a 3-year-old son. I have 2 daughters. I have 3 grandchildren. I have a busy life. I have a foundation in St. Petersburg, Russia that has 28 AIDS babies that we've been supporting for 16 years. I still do 30 concerts a year. I'm a busy guy, and I still sell $7 to $8 million in real estate every single year personally because I can't get away from it. So time is an excuse, okay? Because people say, well, you don't know my situation. Well, yeah, I do. You know, if you got kids, I got kids, got grandkids, you know. It's a matter of budgeting the time. And what we don't do is, by the way, I'm old school. They're trying to get my calendar on this thing. It usually beeps and tells me I should be somewhere by the time I get there. And that's a matter, I guess, of just setting it earlier. I use a calendar that looks like this. You know, it's the old Week at a Glance. I've been using it for 30 years, and I keep 2 of them. And if it doesn't make it here, by the way, I don't make the appointment. And it comes with me everywhere I go. But the problem with calendars and time is, by the way, that's a representation of my calendar. And that's all the better it gets, guys, when I start to do things. But at 6 in the morning, I know what I'm doing. I'm climbing out of bed, okay? And I'm reading books. And we'll talk about books here in a minute. Do you know what you're doing at 7, at 8, at 9, all the way to 6 o'clock in the evening? Do you have it written in your calendar that says, at 6 o'clock I'm getting up and I'm reading a book, or I'm getting up and taking a shower, or I'm getting up, if you're a morning person, you like to go to the gym, okay? Because if you don't calendar it, what happens? You don't do it. Okay, and if you don't have an accountability partner at the gym, you're probably not going to get there, right? Because when you're obligated to meet somebody and they're counting on you, you'll get there. If you're counting on yourself, you probably won't. You know, so, but do you know at 8 o'clock what you're doing? Am I cold calling? You know, I would block out, very first thing I do, and I'm telling you what I do because it works for me, right? May not work for you. I know where I'm at 8:30 every night, almost without exception. I'm sitting with my son reading a book at 8:30 at night, every single night. And we'll go through reading Thomas, The Train, or whatever he wants to read. Curious George, right? 3.5, going on 4, going on 15 sometimes. But I know where I'm at, and I block that time off. Now, if my client wants to meet at midnight after he's in bed, I'll go meet him at midnight, okay? I listed a property in Sunnyvale where the only time he wanted to meet me was at 11 o'clock at the Starbucks in Sunnyvale. And so I put my son to bed, and I went and met him at 11 o'clock at Starbucks. But I blocked off the time. It has to take an act of God almost to get me out of the house at 8:30 at night. Before or after, okay, I'm there. Okay, but then I block off. We have Tuesday morning office meeting, 10 o'clock. I have it blocked off. I know what I'm doing at noon because I am the president of Campbell Kiwanis and I'm running a meeting. I know what I'm doing at BJ's, and I know that I have family time on Saturday mornings when we're going to Happy Hollow or we're going to the Discovery Museum, and what do? Block off the family time. You need to be true to your family. But every other time in your life is open, okay? And you need to act busy in the business even if you're not. Because if you say to your client, it's going to sound weird, well, when do you want to meet? Well, I got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, almost any time open. They're going to go, boy, you're not very busy. I say I have Wednesday at 1, I have Thursday at 2, and I have most of the mornings on Friday. Which would you like? Okay. Well, I can't meet at any of those. What time can you meet? You know, I could meet you Friday at 8. I have an appointment. Could you do it at 7? I have an appointment. They don't have to know it's my son. Okay. But I have an appointment at 8:30. I will not meet with them at 8:30. I'm happy to meet with you at 9:30, 10 o'clock. No problem. I'm happy to meet with you before, but I got an appointment. Okay. And is that structured in stone? 99% of the time. If I got a $2 million client, he wants to meet at 8:30 on Thursday night, and I think he's going to sign, I say, hon, you got the kid tonight. Okay? And you make exceptions, okay, because it's life, right? But you need to stick to it. But I would say, let me talk with my appointment and see if I could change something for you. And if I can, I'll happy to make it available. But the person that I have an appointment with is important to me as you are as well. So let me talk to him, see if I can change things around. Even if it's an appointment to go to breakfast with my wife, okay? It doesn't matter. Her appointment is every bit as important as the other things in their life. Do you have, I'm going to call 5 people at 9 o'clock to 9:30, written in your calendar, okay? And that's what you do. You shut your door. What happens to most of us when we go into the office? You go in, you go, hey, how you doing? Having a cup of coffee? Yeah, rah, rah, rah. And all of a sudden 35, 40 minutes goes by and the appointment that you had set at 9 o'clock to call 5 people is now 9:30. And what you should have had at 9:30 is preparing the flyer to go hand out in your neighborhood or whatever that process is. So one of the biggest stumbling blocks that we find in real estate is not controlling your calendar and not controlling your time. And you need to be able to have, whether you do it on your phone, Outlook, whatever it is, doesn't matter, whatever you're used to. I'm old, so I do it old school, okay? And I'm trying to learn how to do it new school, which probably will never happen since I've been doing it the same way for 32 years. It becomes the thing that allows you to be productive, okay? If you're getting up and you're wandering into office around 9, 10 o'clock, you get your coffee, you say hi to Sal, you know, and talk to him for a few minutes, or, you know, and you talk to the next person for a few minutes, and then you're doing on to this. You make one phone call, somebody comes up and say, hey, I just got in the office, now 11 o'clock, and you just wasted a half a day, okay? And what you should have been doing is whatever was on your list. And I'm going to talk about a list, you know, because one of the things, this is like my Bible right here, okay? And if I ever lost this book, I wouldn't know what was going on in my life. And what is the very first thing in my book? It's a to-do list. And I don't know what your to-do list is, but that was my to-do list for today, okay? It has 30 items on it, plus 3 that I added, and the checks are the ones that are done, okay? When is that completed? The night before I go to bed. So one, psychologically, because my degrees are in counseling and music, your brain will work on what you need to do for the next day if you do it the night before, and you will sleep better because you don't have to remember it, okay? And then you go through and you decide which are the most important. You see the ones on the top that are in red? Those are the 2 most important things on the list, and only one of them got it checked. So I'm not doing it right today, okay? And when I get back to the office, that will be the very first thing that I do, okay? Because it's the most important. And not everything in your life, you know, and you're going to piss a few people off, which is okay. The urgent isn't necessarily the most important thing that you could be doing. The 5 people that I talked to you about calling 5 days a week, Most important thing you can do, guys. Nothing should get in the way of that appointment. And what is it? It's scheduled at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or whenever you're going to do it. As an appointment. Who do you check with if you need to change it, if somebody wants to meet with? Yourself. You hang up the phone. Say, self, do I want to change it? Call them back and say, yeah, I could change the appointment for you. And, and what does it do? It makes them feel important, because every appointment that you set in your book, whether it's for yourself or whether it's for appointment, is an important thing in your life. And if you are going to change the most important thing, like reaching out to your clients or making phone calls or doing the prospecting that makes his business, then you'll never get to it. Okay? And then what happens is, okay, we set a goal to do 5 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon or whenever you're going to do it, and you get 4 days into it and you haven't done it, and now you've got 20 calls, and you get discouraged and you don't make the 5 for the next day. So what you need to do is forget it and start anew with 5 new calls, because you'll never go back and make the 20. Okay? And don't beat yourself up. One of the things that we do as realtors, and I'm going to refer back to this in a second, is we beat ourselves up. We get discouraged because we didn't do the things we told ourselves we were going to do. Somehow we get the things done that everybody else wants, but we don't do the things that we know we need to do. And we need to be inwardly focused on what we're doing in time management. And what are the most important things? You get somebody that screams into your door and says, I got to talk to you right now. And you may say, are you dying? Somebody dying? I need 10 minutes to make 2 more calls. Could you please come back? Okay? And reschedule with yourself if it's really, really important. But be as true to yourself as you are to that client that you're going to go list a property with. Okay? And because not one of you, at least I hope not one of you, who sets an appointment to list a house at 7 o'clock shows up at 7:30, unless there's an emergency. One of the things I used to do is show up, like today. I was 30 minutes early, right? And I would be 10 or 15 minutes early, and I would go park around the corner, okay? And I would sit and read or prepare, do affirmations. And one of the things that we don't do well is keep the appointments with ourselves like we would a client, okay? Because the things that you know that are on your list that are the most important, not the most urgent, are the things that are going to make you money, like prospecting, like making flyers. And we're going to get into all of that in a minute. But if you, and it's so easy to go, well, I'll do it in an hour. You won't, okay? And if you have to change it from here to here, reschedule it like an appointment, and then keep it like an appointment. And if you were working for Apple and they said, I want this paper done by noon, you know what you'd do? You'd go to your desk and you'd get it done by noon, okay? Because they're paying you to do it. If they want you to be on a plane to go to Philadelphia on Friday, here's your tickets, you'd go, hey dear, I'm going to Philadelphia on Friday. And because they're employing you. So treat yourself like Apple would treat you, or treat yourself like IBM would treat you. And learn to be true to yourself first and the important tasks. You know, if you're not doing a list and prioritizing that list, that one step will make you more effective in your life than anything else, because it will tell you what's important, okay? And it isn't the escrow officer that says, hey, I need this before lunch, unless they really need it for lunch for somebody who's going to sign. But you don't want people to run your life, plan far enough in advance that you're done with it, okay? And you need to get help, and we'll talk about help in a minute. What are you putting in your minds? Let's talk about business. You know, the theory about a computer, right, is garbage in, garbage out. I don't watch much TV. I watch the news once in a while, and I don't know why I do that. But because it's negative. You know, who's influencing your life? You got negative people in your life, especially in the office. Avoid them like the plague. You know, and don't be one of them, okay? Never, ever, ever talk negatively about anybody anywhere, because somebody is going to go, well, did you hear what they said? And the minute you talk negative about anybody, anywhere, anytime, they're going to assume that they're talking about you, and you're talking about them negatively, okay? And our industry is about being pleasant. Marge Sprecher, little lady about this high. She was the Avon lady in her farm. And she knew nothing about real estate. Every time she got into a transaction, she would come to me and ask me how to get it done, every single time. And she did more real estate in her farm because she was the Avon lady and she was nice. Everybody liked her. So you need to develop a quality of niceness. And if you're, I'm not putting down, you know, TV, but most of it's a waste of time. I'm not putting down ski magazines that I read and things like that because I like them. But I also read about one book a week, right? And I want to talk to you about the kinds of things, as you're building yourself as an agent, one of the books that will really, really help you, and I'm not into looking at people's negatives. I like to look at what your strengths are. And there's a book called Strength Finders. And it's put up by Gallup. A big company, right? Everybody has heard of Gallup, right? They do polls. And they give you, in the book, they give you a thing that, that has a little code in the back, and you go take a test, and they tell you what your top 5 strengths are. And if you don't know what your top 5 strengths are, you don't know where to focus in your life. As salespeople, most of our strengths are with people. And, you know, I type 15 words a minute at the fastest point in my life. So I don't do any typing. That's why I have secretaries. I had secretaries in college, and that typed for me. And my mom never understood that. But I know what my top 5 strengths are. I keep them right in front of me. And my very strongest strength is achievement. I'm an achiever, okay? And then my second strength is strategic. My third strength, by the way, is communication, getting my point across. My third strength is positivity, my fourth one. And I'm almost never negative. I mean, it's been so ground into my brain that negative people don't come into my life or don't stay there very long. And then I'm self-assured. And those are my, according to Gallup, those are my top 5 strengths. Did you see any one of those that said paperwork? Did you see any one of those that had to do anything with detail other than strategic planning? No. They had to do with people. They had to do with achievement. They had to do with communication. So what do I need to do? I need to concentrate on these items that are really, really good, right? And now I know that it's a dominant portion of my life. So when I'm setting goals, by the way, and I think if you're just setting goals in your life, you're never going to achieve anything, okay? You need to set systems in your life, and you will achieve the goals. Most people say, hey, I want to do 12. Okay, but they don't put a system in place. And we're going to talk about systems here in a minute on how to get to 12. Okay? And the systems that you use that you don't have to monitor, that you don't have to do, like when I get an escrow, what do I do with it? I hand it off to Christina, who is our TC in the office, and say, go get the signatures, Tiger. And she'll produce all the paperwork, and she'll send it out to the buyer and the seller, and she'll give timelines and do all the stuff. And when you have a problem, call me. Okay? That doesn't mean I don't talk to my clients and the other agents and the people that are involved and keeping them in. I just don't do the paperwork. Okay? When I need a listing package, I give her an address and say, hey, Christina. And what's she do? She gives me a package with all the paperwork in it. Okay? Because I type 15 words a minute, right? At my fastest. And that's with mistakes, and I don't like doing it, okay? So one of the things that I do best in my life, and probably why I'm an owner now, is I like to plan, okay? Because if you don't plan, what do you plan? You plan to fail, okay? and happens to be my second quality in my life. You know, when you start looking at the things that are in my book that are my to-do list, and I have the office in my pipeline, and I have loan people in here, I have my office stuff again, I have the market leader, I have different things in my life, and you know what's behind each one of those? What I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to do it with each one of those. I plan and plan and plan and plan. And I don't worry about the goal. You know, I have goals. I know how much business I want to do, how many agents I want to have, what things I need to be doing. But if you don't have a strategic plan set into base, some type of strategy, some type of system to get there, you're never going to get there. It comes back to this. What's the system involved in putting out the flyer? Okay, what are the 6 steps that you need to do to find the article, to get it into the book, to get it to printed, and who's going to distribute it? And if you're not there, could you hire somebody at $10 an hour to do it for you? We're not business people. We shouldn't do the $10 an hour task. You want to earn $100,000 to $300,000 a year, you should do $100,000 to $100,000 tasks. And what is that in real estate? Face-to-face, belly-to-belly with people who can say yes to your product. Okay? You can do all the strategic planning. I'm going to talk a minute about YouTube. Okay? You need to be doing it, right? I'm going to talk to you about Facebook. I'm going to talk to you about LinkedIn. I'm going to talk to you about all of the social media. I'm going to talk to you about video marketing. Okay? How does it get done? And who does it? Who's responsible? When are you going to do it? Is it in your calendar? How much are you going to spend? You know, one of the things, the biggest mistakes that real estate people make is they have no idea how much they're going to invest this year into your business. If you want to make $100,000 this year, you should probably invest 10% of that, or $10,000 into your business. And people go, oh, but if you really made 100 grand, 10 grand's not that bad, and you get to write it off, you get 40% of it back. But if you budget for it, you can buy the books, you can do the video, you can have the CRM, you can have the tablets and the phones and the computers and the things, and the return on investment is big. I mean, if you handed me a buck and I said I'd give you $5 for every buck you gave me, there's not one person in the room that wouldn't give me a buck if I was giving you 5, right? Okay, and the problem with the investment that you're doing today in business is that you're not monitoring how much you're spending. You don't have a budget for what you're spending. You don't know what you're spending it on. And the new thing comes up and you're going, oh, that'd be nice. Let's try that. Well, you know, if you don't know what the return on that investment is supposed to be, then you probably shouldn't be investing in it. Okay? And if I'm investing in flyers into a certain area, and I don't have any way to track it, I don't have a system in place to see how many calls I got off of that piece, or how many people actually came into the office or got to talk to, you don't know the effectiveness, or you don't have the system to know if that was a piece you ought to do again. Or if you run into a video that works, or if you run into any of the types of people that, you know, the problem is you send it out and you just, oh, let's do it again. But it didn't bring a result. Okay? So you have to put a system into place to monitor the results that you're getting. Find your strengths. Don't worry about your weaknesses. Okay? Find somebody else to do the things. I don't do paperwork. I don't do media, although I'm all over it. Okay? I have Heidi Chung right there in the back, who does my media for me. And I have Blake Cardoza, who's doing the video. Because I don't have the skills. You know where I make my money? I'm talking to the people that these things are bringing in. Okay? And if you don't, you know, you might be the super guru of all of the world and like to do it on your own and do that type of thing, but you know what? It's a $10 or $15 an hour task, or a $20 an hour task, and you shouldn't be doing it. Because you want to earn $100,000 to $300,000 by doing one a month. So take control of your business and put it into a system. Learn about what it takes on Facebook, what it takes to take something contagious and make it go viral. Written by a Harvard grad. It's an unbelievable book, Contagious. Fill your mind with things that are going to bring you forward in life. Tom Ferry, Live Life by Design. Okay? You know, because one of the things that we do is it doesn't have to be Tom Ferry. It could be all kinds of different people. There's a lot of books on how to live your life by design, but he happens to be in our industry, right? And he's a bright guy, okay? But the thing is, if you're filling your brain with new, exciting stuff all the time, then you will do better, and it makes you better with people. Best book I've read in a long time. It was I got an advanced reader. It's Those Callaways, and they are in Arizona. They do 500 transactions a year. They have 5,000 people in their database, and they didn't get into the business until they were in their 50s. And this is a manual on how they do it. And I read their first book, Clients First, and it's a good book too. It took me about four chapters to learn to like them. This book, though, is just a manual on how to do things. It's out of all the books that I've read in real estate, Keller Williams, doesn't matter, this is a good one, okay? And it'll tell you how they do their open houses. It's a good model. If you don't know how to do something, it's a good way to read. And when I read a book, it looks like that. I don't know if you can see all the red marking with stars and things like that. Why do I do that? I will hand that to my secretary or to my wife and say, type the things that are in red with stars. So I have them, okay? Because I only type 15 words a minute, right? But I want to go back and read and have the important things that I can apply to my life in a place that I can find them. If it's in the book on the shelf, I probably can't find it, okay? So I type out the pieces. And the whole point is to fill your mind with things that are positive, that are going to, you got to learn sales, how to relate to people. You know, there's different people relate differently. And then I'm going to move on here in a second. Some people in our industry like to talk, you know, and they're auditory. Some people like to hear. Some are kinesthetic and they like to see it on a book. They see it in print, you know, and you have to learn how to deal with each of the personality types. And if you haven't done a DISC test, if you haven't done strength finders to find out what your strengths are, because one of the things that people do is, when I'm going to start to get into marketing, is you need to market to people who are like you. And if you haven't taken the time to look at your database and the last 15 or 20 transactions that you've done, and put them up there. Are they single? Are they married? Are they 50? Are they 30s? Are they moving up? Are they listers? Are they buyers? What is the profile of the person you work the best with? Okay? And what you're going to find is there's a predominant trend in the people that you meet. Okay? And once you identify the trend, then you go after more of those people. Because it's not he who talks to the most people, remember, it's he who talks to the most people who have the ability to say yes. And if you're talking to 5 new people a day, 25 a week, 100, and they have the ability to say yes, they're in the demographic that you work with, and you like them, they like you because you're alike. Because the more you are like somebody, the more they will like you. Okay? It's just basic psychology. And that's what you need to do when you meet with people, is become like them. That's why we mirror and match, and we use their words, and we do the things that they do. We sit like they do. We cross our hands like they do. We find out who they are, and you find that common bond or rapport. And the people that you naturally have rapport, you don't have to work at it, right? Has anybody just found that person, and you sat and you talked for like 3 hours, and you go, wow, where'd the time go? Okay, those are the people you want to work with, because it didn't take any effort to build a rapport with them. So if you can identify the people that you work with best and go find them, you'll close more transactions because they already like you because you're like them. Okay? And we're going to talk about database, and we're going to talk about a few of those types of things and how you identify those groups and get them plugged in and how you work them in a minute. But we miss that we're in sales. You know, you go work to Apple, they're going to give you a list of 50 people and you're going to go talk to those 50 people, right? Okay, in our business, the world is our people. So you need to narrow it down, and you need to narrow it down. Some of you, and I want to talk about this, are working the wrong people. You know, because in our market, I'm not sure if you're into statistics, but I read excessively, 2 hours a day. And what we know is there's going to be about 13,500 listings. So what's it take to do one a month? Okay? If you are going to do 12 listings, you're doing roughly 1% of all the listings. Okay? With 13,500 listings coming on the market in our 23 areas, this is just our 23 areas this year. There was 15,000 last year. They expect it to be less this year. There's roughly 26,000 sites, right? So if you're doing half listings and half buyers, then you're taking 0.5% of each site. So how many people can take 1%? That'd be 100 people, right? So you're competing with a lot of people that want to do that. And one of the things that we need to do in our industry is becoming more and more and more and more competitive. So why are we going to talk about what we're going to talk now about how do we become competitive, okay? And then I'm going to talk about who you go talk to. And by the way, if you're not building database, I'm going to end up with database. And I always end up with database because if you do nothing else in the business but build your database and build it right, it'll feed you, okay? One of the things when my wife got in the business 14 years ago is she said, you're not ever knocking doors. You take a bottle of wine, you go out and sit with people, you sign them up. And she says you don't talk about business except for about 15, 20 minutes. Why? Because it came from my database. They were referrals. And you went out and you figured out what was important to them. And if you're in my class a month ago, I just recommended that a guy not buy $1.5 million or giving me somewhere in the neighborhood of $45,000 to $60,000 in income. Why? Because it wasn't the right thing, okay? And if you always do the right thing with integrity, people will talk about you. Giving up that $45,000 will make me probably $200,000 to $300,000 in the next 5 years. Why? Because I told him as a realtor they shouldn't do it, okay? And what's he doing right now? He's telling the world. Guess what this realtor told me not to do? Not buy real estate. I told him to pay off his loan in his own house. He lives in Los Altos. He's getting appreciation on it. He lowered his outgo by $4,500 more than I could get him on investment properties with the same money. And he's getting $200,000 to $300,000 appreciation on his $2.5 to $3 million home. So why not invest in him, have more money? And he's selling 7 properties in Sacramento. And the referring broker's upset that I gave him the right decision because he's not getting his 25%. And he never sat down and figured out what was best for the client. Never figured out what the goals and the dreams. You know what the wife said? When I told her, why not invest in your own property and pay down your mortgage? She goes, wow, I could buy the furniture I want. Because the mortgage at $1.2 million was stopping her from getting it. I could remodel the kitchen. Those were the things that were important. I can keep the family coming to the family home instead of downsizing. And it was the right decision to invest in themselves. Okay? At that point, they're telling the world that this guy sat down and gave me a financial plan that their tax attorney and their accountants didn't do. Okay? That's how you build longevity in the business. So let's talk about internet, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of this stuff. YouTube, this is our YouTube page. And I want to talk to you a little bit about video marketing and what you do with it. Because it's here to stay, it's a part of your life. And when you're doing Twitter and LinkedIn and all of the stuff that is in social media, there's two goals. One, you're building a third-party recommendation. You're building third-party credibility. So when you search my name, Don Jessup, on Google, I take 8 of the 10 places on the first page with LinkedIn and my YouTube page and my Reach 150 recommendations and my videos and that type of thing. There were 47 Don Jessups in the United States I had to overcome, though. Okay? And you're building a presence, and your clients will go and see you online. Guaranteed. Okay? So when it's you, you have this, and you have your social media. And by the way, we're going to build things around this because you're the center. You're the one that makes it happen. You're the one that's responsible, and take that responsibility seriously. So, can you scroll down on it just a little bit? So as you see, we have an introduction at the top. And then I have my weekly show, okay? And why don't you just do that top left one. Here's a
Hi, my name is Don Jessup. I'm the owner of Silicon Valley Associates. We're a real estate company right here in the Silicon Valley, and welcome to my weekly show.
That wasn't one of my best pictures, but
a little more to agents. But you know, if you're out there and you're a consumer, it's good to listen in on this one too. The market is red hot, and we want to talk to you about getting your property exposed to the market so we can give you the highest and best price. One of the things that's happening in our industry right now, where people are saying, and I've talked about this before, saying that, you know,
okay, we don't need to listen to the whole thing. But so one of the things I've learned, and I just relearned, is wear a tie, look sharp, or look how you look normally. This is how I look normally. I don't like, one of my images of who I am as a realtor is a business person, right? And I want to have that image when I'm in front of people. Okay. When I go out to a listing appointment, all the way, we always have mishaps. I caught my lining, and I have paper clips holding it in on my car today. But the key is, when I go out, I look just like this, because you get one opportunity to make an impression on people. Now, what I can do, if I get there and they're in jeans and that type of thing, they expect you, by the way, to be professional. I can take the coat off. I can roll up the sleeves. I can, after I've built rapport, I can come into their space. Oh, by the way, where do you meet? At their home. Where do you meet in their home? Kitchen table, absolutely. Because if you're in the living room, you're a guest. You're at the kitchen table, you're family. Psychological difference. I mean, it's really huge. Okay? Never, 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 never help them clean the table or tell them to have the table clean. You want to meet in the family center. Never in the bedroom. Never in the bedroom, no. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that as an option. But think about it. When family's there, where do you congregate? You congregate at the kitchen table. You congregate in the places that they feel like it's home. Plus, you can't do business on a coffee table. It just is, it's difficult, okay? When you're doing, why don't we do this one? Yeah. When you're doing video, that's a weekly show. You need to do a commercial. I'll talk about when, build, and equip in a minute as well. In this ever-changing real estate market, as it becomes more and more competitive, we need to change what we do to get you the highest listing and the highest value on your property. Hi, my name is Don Jessup. I'm the owner of Silicon Valley Associates. We're a real estate company right here in the Silicon Valley, and I've been in real estate for 32 years. I'm on the board of directors at SCORE, which is our Santa Clara County Association of Realtors. I'm one of 19 people that guide 8,000 realtors into making a living in their ethics and in the way that they conduct their business. The president of Kiwanis and the families of our community trust me to do what's right for them. And I want to offer you my services to sit down and talk with you about what it takes in this ever-changing, fast-paced real estate market to get your home sold for the most profit. And listing a property becomes very important. Who do you choose to do it? Well, you should choose somebody that other people trust. I, Don Jessup, can help you make the right decision when you're selling. Please give me a call. My phone number is 408-221-2120, and put the right people in Silicon Valley to work for you in selling your home. Okay. So that is a commercial. And I want to talk to you about how you market that. Okay? Video is important. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is it's not perfect. I stutter. I do things just a little bit out of sync sometimes. People don't want you to be perfect. They want, and if you're stopping yourself from doing a video because you have to have it perfect, people don't care. People want to know you're real. People want to know that they can touch you. They want to feel you. We have children in it. We have different things that show that we're active in the industry. Okay? And where are we going to market that thing? Okay? It's already on the YouTube page. It's and it's in here in the SVA opportunity. And I have Edwin, who is my vice president in the back area of marketing in the company. And we have our agents that are in here doing things as well up here. And one of the things that we have here is we want to create a page that people come back to on a weekly basis. We want to create something that is positive. It has our parties and the Christmas parties. It has our home tours. I want you to do Cherry Lane or it doesn't matter, either one. By the way, your company may not allow you to do aerial photography. I'm doing it until they take me to jail. Because it's professional and it's good, and I don't think they're coming after me. Okay, it's my personal opinion. You have to do what your broker tells you. This is a condo. Okay, this is a type of thing that people want to see done on their property. And this is Jeff Lee, one of my top producers in the office, who's narrating behind it. Why does he do that? Because they need to hear his voice. He doesn't like to be in front of the camera, but he's narrating behind it, right? And you embed this in emails. You embed this in on flyers. You want people to go see it. You want to get exposure. Okay, people know what a video tour is. But what I'm saying here is you need to create this third-party body of information. When you're posting it on LinkedIn and you're posting it on your Facebook, you don't want to post this link from your YouTube page to your Facebook page because they're competitors. Okay? We post one of these from YouTube and we get 48 views on our Facebook. We post it directly to Facebook, we get 300 views. Okay? And it's because the way Facebook automatically markets it out to the community. And what people miss is they're just going to copy and paste the link and put it onto the Facebook page, and they're missing 5 or 6 times the people who actually view the video. You want to, it's so important that people. Do you have a Facebook business page? Why don't you go to my business page? If you don't, you need one, okay? And you need a personal, okay? And it needs to be branded, and it needs to be consistently branded with your look and your feel for wherever company you're with or whatever brand you have, whatever team name.
Let's go to SVA.
Yeah, SVA, that's right. So Facebook has a unique ability, okay? And most people are going, how do I get onto Facebook? And how do I do things? And we just changed this as a part of our team. And we want to give a real look to who we are. we're about to go over 900 likes in our Facebook. And I had 200 4 months ago, and Heidi has brought it to 900 in 4 months. And it's because of the types of things that we post. We not only post real estate things, but we post about Kiwanis and the scholarships that we do. We post things about the training that we do. We post things that are of interest to people, you know, and because you want to get eyeballs on it. One of the myths, though, because I have 800, just stop right there for a second. One of the myths is it says it reached 41 people, right? No, it reached all 800, almost 900 people. Only 41 people actually clicked on the thing. So don't be discouraged if you're only getting 40 or 50 views on something. It's still going by people's faces, okay? And one of the things that you can do is this little button right here. It's the most underused thing in the world. It's called Boost your post, okay? Facebook knows who you are. Facebook knows who's going to be boosted to. And you can choose demographics, you can choose age, you can choose heads of household, you can choose all kinds of different things on who you boost it to, okay? And for 20, why don't you just hit the boost thing? You want to reach a bunch of people? I mean, this is the cheapest way to reach a bunch of people. You do a video, and for $60, for $5, you can reach another 40 to 110. For $60, you can reach somewhere between 500 and 1,400 just on this silly post. Now, this changes depending on what the content is. But normally, if you do 60, you can find up to maybe 16,000 people that'll get in front of, okay, for small amounts of money. And I wouldn't be boosting this because I don't want to boost that. What am I going to boost? My video. Because I want people to see it, right? And I want them to pull people from all of the friends and the people that are on my face page. And the more you get, the more they have, and they have to pull from, the more it gets exposure. Okay? Now, if you're not doing these types of things, and we can't get to my other page from here, but my other page has the same thing, just has my picture here, right? Okay? And it matches. Can we go to the Twitter account? Twitter. I have 900 people following me. 4 months ago, I had 24. So people say, it takes time. No, it's just a little bit of activity to do it. And
What's the backslash?
Heidi, what's the backslash? Yeah. Doesn't matter. If you're not doing Instagram, you're not doing Facebook, you're not doing the promotional items, the videos and the pictures and those types of things, if you your signature page, okay? Why am I the president of Kiwanis? Okay? Why do you want to be the leader of every group that you're in? Because I get to send out all the emails to all the members, and what's it have at the bottom? It has my signature line that says Don Jessup Realtor. And it has a link to all of my Facebook pages and my Twitter and all my stuff, right? Why do I want to, I help run the BJ's meeting, okay, out at the breakfast meeting. And why did I take on the email account to tell everybody about the tours and what's coming up and that type of thing? Because you know what? At the bottom of every single one to, 800 people that we email to gets my signature bar, and they know who I am, okay? And so if you're not becoming the leader of a group and managing the mailing list for every group that's in, and you just volunteer to do it, we were in a group of 8 brokers in the room, and they said, well, who wants to do it? Nobody stuck up their hand. I said, I'll do it, okay? And everybody in the room is happy, but what do I get? I get exposure. Yeah, everybody's looking at me, and it's a good thing, right? And so look at the things that you can lead out in. And if your offices aren't doing this for you or teaching you how to do this type of thing and how to get out there and how to dominate that third-party validation, you need to figure out how to get it. Because it will help you close more deals when you get in the front of people. It doesn't do you any good to get appointments if you can't close them. Okay? This will help you do it. And So it'll help you get leads, but it'll also help you close more transactions because nobody else out there doing it. So we have marketing. Do you have a good escrow person? Okay, we talked about escrow people. Building your business in pillars. If you don't have an escrow person that will respond to you in a timely manner and do the things that are necessary to give you net sheets and those types of things, if you don't have a title rep that'll sit down and help you load Palm Agent onto your phone so you can do net sheets for people and email them to them and do the things that are necessary. By the way, Terry would help you do that. If you don't have a loan officer that has a program on his phone that will help you figure out what payments are and those types of things, by the way, Palm Agent will help you do that as well. And they're not responsive to you, find a new one. Okay? So what you need to do is find people in your industry that are going to partner with you to help you build your business. And that's with escrow, that's with your lender. Okay? And by the way, that's as good as it gets. Do you have a good TC person? Okay. If your office doesn't have a good TC person, if you're not doing it, if you find somebody, because the very worst thing you can do, unless you're new in the business and need to learn the paperwork, which you need to do, you need to know what you're sending, being able to explain what it is. But if you're doing all the work, you shouldn't be doing it. In loans, if you're doing. Who's the most important person in the loan industry? Cliff? Your processor. She's the one that gets all the work done. Okay, client makes you money, but without your processor, you would die. The one who puts it all into the computer and does all of the disclosures and all of the things that you go out and get signed and represent the people, but it's the person that's doing all of the little work, making sure you have W-2s and paycheck stubs and blah, 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 blah. And by the way, if you don't have somebody that can get it pre-approved before you go out, because the biggest thing right now is if you're a buyer's agent and you need to not be if you're a buyer's agent, you're hating life. I've written 3 offers for a client of mine that we're 200,000 over on one, 400,000 over on another one, and we're getting beaten. We're 21 days, no loan contingencies, and making people jump through hoops and blah, 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 blah. And it's crazy out there in the hot parts of the market, right? And we're not going to talk a lot about buyers yet, but it's one of the things that if you're not prepared, by the way, find Leslie Lang on YouTube. And Leslie Lang, and she sent me a link that I couldn't download, otherwise I'd have showed you what she does. You want to get a buyer accepted? This woman's amazing. She has a little program. She takes the buyer into the house, right? And we always write these little letters that say how nice they are and how much they love the property, blah, 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 blah. She has a video. And the people are sitting in the living room and they're standing in the back and they have little things, little signs and little captions below. And at the end it has a sold sign, and it's in their house, right? And she puts a link with this video with their buyers in all the different places that they're going to be enjoying in the house with little captions underneath and gives that instead of a letter. How impressive is that? I mean, it's just unbelievable. Leslie Lang on her YouTube page.
I talked with Leslie yesterday, and she beat out 27 other offers with using that technique.
Yeah. You want to be heads and tails above the people in the market? That's a great use of video. And there's a whole program about it. Yeah.
I think we also should add that we haven't, by the way, my son Ryan McDermott is over at PJ's.
Mm-hmm.
Your CPA, people are tough taxes, you can't, educated in that field. I have my CPA and my.
Your page? Mm-hmm. Yep. My guy's too busy. He said, don't put me there. But you should have partners on your pages and those types of things. And if, it's people who are going to support you are so important, and if they don't support you in your business and you don't refer back and forth, by the way, don't ask for referral fees. Do business with people that are competent. Okay? Don't expect them to pay for everything, and don't be paying for everything for them. If you got somebody that's, they volunteer to help you do something, fine. They're doing open houses and that type of thing, but use good people because they're good people, okay? And because they're earning the business and they're doing things for you that help you grow your business. And if you have somebody in your life that's not doing that, find somebody new. There's lots of people in our business. Okay? Let's go back to this for just a second, because I have one other thing to say about that. Last year, 90% of the business was done by 10% of the people. First time ever. You know the scarier part of that statistic? 78% of the people did one or less. One or less. What that says is our industry is shrinking, okay? And what happens is more business is being done by fewer and fewer people. And you're going to have to compete against the Mary Tans. You're going to have to compete against Jorge. You're going to have to compete against, the Angie Coxes of the world. You're going to have to compete against the Beyonce teams. You're going to have to compete against the people that are big agents doing 30, 40, 50 transactions a year. And one of the things that we talk about is, well, how do you do that? Because you're going to have to do it, right? And it's upgrading your skills, upgrading your knowledge, upgrading your the ability. Because once you get an appointment, you have to be able to close that appointment. And if you can't close the appointment, you're not going to do it. It doesn't do you any good to have one if you can't close it, right? And so, knowing who you're going up against, one of the things that's more important, we can all run the neighborhood, right? Do a CMA, find out what the price is. Probably what's more important is to figure out who you think your competition in that neighborhood is. Is there a farmer that you're going up against? Is there somebody that's done more than one? Figure out who the other people are in the neighborhood that might have an interest in listing that property. And I would suggest that you're always the first person in if you can. Why? Carr says 66% of the people list with the very first person that comes in the front door. 66% of the time. I would want that on my side. So I'd want to be the first person. Why else do I want to be the first person? I want to set that bar so high that the next person that comes in doesn't live up. Okay? And I want to set that bar so high that it says, if the next agent that you're talking to, and I'm hoping that you're not, by the way, doesn't do this and 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 doesn't do this and this and this in this order, and we're not going to get into that because I don't have time to do that, then they're not doing it right. And how long is my appointment? About 2 hours. Okay? And one of the things that I do with people is I give them more planning information than I do real estate information, because if you're competing on features, you'll lose. Okay? If you're competing on where they're going and how you can build wealth in their life, and you can control the transactions so when they move they can sleep at night and talk about the legalities and the things and the plan for their life to build wealth through real estate, because the people that are wealthy in the United States own real estate. And how do we plan for your retirement and where are we going? That'll close the transaction. Helping people make good decisions in their lives. And yes, we're going to do all the flyers, and we're going to do all of the pretty stuff that goes with that, that every agent does. We're going to put it on 900 website, by the way, it gets syndicated out, and we're going to do all the pretty professional things that you do. And by the way, if you're not using Corfact, you ought to be using Corfact, because they put out a brilliant product, and it'll help you farm, help you stay in contact, and you don't have to do anything. Okay? We have our page. You can have a page. Terry can set that up for you. But the key is not to spend 10 hours putting together a flyer. Because what we know is a flyer doesn't sell the property. What's the flyer do? The flyer helps you close the next transaction. So if you're putting black and white flyers in the flyer box that show no class at all, you're losing the neighbors. Okay? You should be putting the same quality flyers in the flyer box that you put inside the house. So when a neighbor comes by, they go, oh, cool. Okay? If you're knocking the doors around a listing, then you should be passing out the same quality flyer that you got in the house. Don't cheap out and make 5 black and white copies or 50 black and white copies, because the flyer doesn't sell the house. The flyer helps you get the next one. Okay, so I spent a lot of time telling you about how to build a business, right? Are you using the new sign? okay, that looks like this with the 2 posts. It's $250 versus $47 at Opticom, right? Is it worth it? Absolutely. You know why? Because the neighbor goes, wow, because it looks good and it makes you look professional. And when we went to use this about a year ago in my own neighborhood, Alon Pinnell had a property listed on the corner. They used a sign that looked like that. And lo and behold, about 3 weeks later, there's another one with another sign right next door. And they're not a farmer in our neighborhood. And I'm convinced that the only reason they got it is they had the best looking sign in the neighborhood. We know as realtors, signs don't sell properties, but they help you get the next listing. So if you're not doing it, then you're missing out on opportunity to close the next transaction. Any questions up to this point? Because we're going to get into, and by the way, you figured out I know most of this stuff without looking at my notes, right?
Do you have any tips for making the appointment 2 hours? Like anywhere we can?
Okay, so I would never close for a 2-hour appointment, okay, unless it's a referral, because you're going to go sit and spend the evening with a referral and their friends and that type of thing. And I usually have a nice bottle of wine or something that we share as we're doing business. And but if you're doing cold, okay, I would close for 15, 20 minutes. And then at that point, I would say, I guarantee you that at 15, 20 minutes, I'll stop and see how we're doing. And if you like what I'm saying, I'll go forward. If not, we can part friends at that point. Could we meet Thursday or Friday night? That's how I would say that. Because, and by the way, the only reason I can say it that way, is I've said it 100 times, okay? And if you haven't practiced, drilled, and rehearsed the script, guys, and it's not that you're going to go bore people, because I used to do that. I used to have a flip chart, and I'd watch people go to sleep, and I'd go, oh yeah, 1 page, 2 pages, this is what we do, 3 pages, this is what we do, this is what we do, boy, and I'm just going. And we went through the day, we had these big portfolios, and we'd bring in easels, and we'd put them on, and we'd give these big presentations. And I'd watch people go to sleep on me, okay? And if you're doing cold, it's different when you're getting a referral, okay? You still want to be prepared. Okay, I still go in with all of the listing packages, I go in with all the brochures, I go in with all the pictures, I go in showing this stuff, okay? And you have to be prepared. But it's a different appointment, okay? And I don't do anything, I don't even pull out my listing binders and the things like that until I know they're with me, okay? Because if I get the feeling that somebody's already listed with somebody else, I'll stop. I'll start to do one of these. And they're going, well, what are you doing? I said, well, you've obviously decided to list with somebody else. And they said, well, what do you mean? Because I'm trying to find out what your wants and needs are and where we're going, so we do the best things for your family and make the move as smooth as possible. But every time I ask you a question, you're not going with me. And if you decided to use somebody else, I'd rather go spend time with my family and let you go use them. And if you tell me you haven't, by the way, I don't plan on leaving, okay? But if you haven't chosen somebody else, I'll be happy to go through and give you the information that you're looking for and what you want to do. But if I don't have any shot at this, folks, I got other things I need to do. So tell me now. If I'm 15, 20 minutes into it and they're fighting me, I leave, okay? Or at least I act like I'm going to leave. And most people go, no, don't do that. We haven't chose somebody. Okay, you're sure you haven't chose somebody, okay? And I get really strong about it. But you got to up your game, because you got to believe here. And the hardest thing is people go, I'm a buyer's agent. Well, heck, if you're a buyer's agent, listing property is a snap, okay? You can do 2 or 3 times as many, manage your time better, and take 6 weeks or 8 weeks off a year and do more business. So you ought to be a listing agent. Why? Listing agents have something to market, and you have something to go after another deal with. If you have a buyer, what do you have? You have a buyer, okay? And I'll do a whole class on buyers. You can make buyers an active prospecting tool, okay? But listings naturally are an active listing tool, because you have neighbors and you have open houses. And you talk about it, you want to do 1 a month? Don't accept an offer until you've done 2 open houses. The biggest problem with today's market is you want to sell it in 3 days and move on. Okay? Back when it took 6 months to sell something, I had 6 months to market and go find other people. Okay? And you got a big enough pipeline that they were closing one after another, and it showed your professionalism. You know, the market that we were in 2008, 9, 10, 11, everybody's going, the worst market we ever had, right? No, it wasn't. Okay? Because if you built your database, you know, people who build your database, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, will send you good people in good times and hard people in hard times. Okay? And you still have to work your database. And that's all you have to do. Okay? And I'll talk about that in a minute. But an open house is not designed for buyers. You know, you realize open houses are a passive way of prospecting, right? You open up the door, you let them come in. Okay? And you get the luck of the draw. Whoever walks through the door, right? Wrong. Okay? If you do it that way, that's what it is. But if you're knocking all of the doors and doing the flyers and doing the pre-open houses for the neighbors and going out and telling them what's going on and meeting them Friday night and meeting them Saturday night and meeting them Sunday night and to tell them how it's going and saying hi so they know your name, and they all of a sudden, the neighbors are going, hey, Don, how's it going? Oh, it's going good, Jane. Now you got somebody you can put in your database because they have 100 people that they know that they influence, and you had a good experience with them. Now you can market them. You want to do one a month? Do 2 open houses and knock 100 doors around the studio 3 times in a weekend. Okay? Be proactive. We used to do mega open houses in the early days. And we had all of these signs. We used to put out 100 signs in people's yards. And you know why we used to do that? So we could knock the door and say, hi, may I put a sign in your yard? And you know what? They appreciated you being there. And what were you doing? Adding to database. Okay? And you want to do one a month, you have to add the database. How many people do you need in your database? Okay? Well, that's a B. Database.
Don, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Hot market, lots of buyers,
Mhm.
lots of them qualify, cash offers. If you do an open house, what's the best way for you? I know what I do, but I would like to know what you do. The first open house, 30 people come in, you get 7 offers the next day. How do you push that to the next open house?
You don't
When
accept
do you
them.
tell them it's
You don't accept them.
all? You don't accept them.
Okay, so he who owns the gold makes the rules. Listings are the gold. Okay? And I would put it on a Thursday night, hold an open house, go through the week, give people, after you have to get out packages for disclosures. And by the way, if you're getting out your own disclosure packages, you shouldn't be doing it. You should have somebody else doing it, like your TC. Okay? Putting it in a transaction point, give them a link to go get their own so they can download their own stuff so you don't spend hours doing it. Because it's a $10 an hour task. You shouldn't be doing $10 an hour tasks. So answer your question directly. I'm looking at offers on Monday. Okay? I have 2 weekends. Why? Because I'm selfish. I want to market to the neighbors. Okay? And you want to expose that property to the market and the most people that you can expose the market to.
I'm seeing a lot of, it goes on the market, they have an open house, they want offer deadline on Monday.
Yep.
Offer deadline.
Yep. Okay.
One
If you're a buyer,
couple of days.
well, okay, that's just a stupid agent. Okay.
But there's-
So,
there's-
did I say that out loud?
There's getting to
Yeah,
be
very loud.
Yeah.
more and more and more, I run into it constantly.
Okay, so know that your obligation as a listing agent is to expose that property to as many people as you possibly can. And if you only have that thing on the market for one day, you've not done your job. Personal opinion. Okay? And if you see somebody that has put that property on the market on a Monday night and reported it sold on a Tuesday morning, they didn't do their clients justice. Okay, they're bad agents. So you get somebody that's out there that's advertising. You want to know how to fight against them? Because they're putting it out there. They're saying, hey, I sold it for, I sold 6 properties in 2 days. Okay, bad agent. Okay, because they didn't expose it to the market. They didn't get them the highest price and value that they could have probably gotten. And don't be fooled about cash offers, guys. You know, cash offers aren't the best all the time. Sometimes they are. But you know, a down payment and a loan, what is it? It's all cash. It's the same net to the seller. Okay? So don't give in to cash offers that aren't the highest and best. You get somebody that's really qualified for a loan that has a package with their credit run and pre-approved, and you do all of the things to have a credit-worthy package. It's as good as a cash offer. What's the only difference? Closes in 3 weeks instead of 2. Maybe it closes in 4. And and that person probably doesn't have a place to move anyway. And did you ask whether or not they needed a rent back? And maybe you could give them a rent back for 30 days. And you have to be careful with your lender on how long you can do that, because you have to move in on certain days. And I don't know how they police that, but that happens. But all cash to the seller is all cash to the seller, because nobody's asking the seller to carry a second these days. Okay? And so be prepared with your offers to be strong. Okay? And if you're a listing agent, give somebody 3 days to look at it, or 5 days to go get their inspections, or whatever it is. If you're a buyer's agent, bring your inspector with you. Okay, you really want to buy this house and they don't have inspections? Bring the guy with you and say, look at the house while we're here. Okay? And how could you write a stronger offer when you say, my inspectors looked at it, we know what we're buying, so we're coming in non-contingent? Now that's really a good thing, because you've had it looked at already in advance. Okay? And in this market, you have to write some stupid offers. Okay? Offers that don't have any contingencies in them are stupid. Okay? Just bad business. You will get sued, you will lose. Okay? Just a matter of time. And we had a fourplex that my agent, thank God he was bright enough not to accept the offer, made an offer on a property, fourplex. Agent didn't have any inspections, nothing. No termite, no property, no roof, no nothing. And he said, if you don't write the offer, non-contingent as is, we're not accepting it. My agent went, how can we do that? We have a TDS 14 that says you don't know of anything, but we don't have any reports, no roof reports, no nothing, right? You can't write a non-contingent offer on that, because what happens, you get in there and there's $50,000 or $100,000 worth of work to be done. Don't put on you'll get away with it today, okay? But you know what? It'll come back to bite you. And it's just write good contracts, guys. It's important. Okay. Open houses, though. Okay. If you don't have a good CRM, client management program, get one. Whether it's conversion, whether it's Outlook, whether it's Market Leader, whether Top Producer, there's bunches of them. Because one of the things that you need to know about doing one, and I'm going to in 3 minutes, I have to get to specific prospecting things, okay? Because the thing that will get you to doing one a month is building systems in your business that allow you to talk to more people, okay? And a lot of people say there's magic in all the other things that you do. There's no magic. You need to talk to at least 100 new people and talk to 100 people in your client base every month. Those two things will make you more money than anything you need to do, okay?
So you're saying 200 people?
100 a month that are people you don't know, and then you need to go through 5 people a week in your client base. So how long should that take you? The ones in your client base, I hope it takes you an hour, because you're building rapport, okay? The cold ones, it may take you 30 minutes. Who in this room can't find 5 people a day to talk to? I could find 5 people in my client base just by picking up my phone. Okay, dialing out and say, hey, Roger, how you doing? Hey, Greg, how you doing? And I can do that in just a few minutes. Okay, finding 5 people is walking into the grocery store and saying, standing in the line on your way home, and the person in front of you. I used to embarrass my wife all the time, but it's okay. And I say, hi, how you doing? Long line, isn't it? I get in the longest line, by the way, so I could talk to the people in front and back of me. And one of the places I used to go, and I don't suggest you do this anymore because it's not as open, is I used to go to the airport, stand at the luggage center. How was your flight? Oh, not too bad. Says you came from Dallas, so you know they came from Dallas or wherever they're coming from. And you live in San Jose? And they go, yeah, I live in San Jose. Great. And how about you? And they ask, because they have to ask, because psychologically There's a reciprocity. When you ask a question, they're going to ask you, unless they're rude, and then you just move on to the next person. And what do you do in San Jose? They tell you. What's their next question? Well, what do you do in San Jose? Well, I'm in real estate here, been doing it. They don't know I wasn't on the plane. They don't know all 250 people that were there. I'd say, yeah, here's my business card. If you ever need any help, happy to help you. I'd walk over to the next turnstile, stand next to somebody new, start up a conversation. I mean, it's not difficult, guys. You can do it in Starbucks. You can do it at the store. You can do it at the gym. You can do it just in life. You're going to bump into 5 people a day if you're out doing something. And if you're in the office 8 hours a day, you're not doing real estate, okay? Because if you're in the office 8 hours a day, you're not seeing people. You're not seeing properties. And so those are the most important things. I'm going to get into open houses. You want to work to the point that you do less buyers, which is difficult, because, again, there's only 13,000 listings. In the 2 boards, there's 16,000 realtors. There's less than 1 listing apiece. So you're talking about getting more than your fair share. You want to be in the 10%, right? And are you secret? Okay, in your open houses, what do you say to people? We want to invite you to a pre-open house for the neighbors. We'd love to have you. We're going to have sandwiches and drinks and that type of thing, and give you the opportunity to see the house before the public. That's going to be from 11 to 12. And what do? They go, oh, cool. Or you're going to have a twilight open house on a Friday evening and invite the neighbors to come in. If I only had 1 listing, I might be holding it open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for 2 hours on my way home. Why? So I can get in front of people. Okay? And you've got to get this funnel going like this that get people circulating down so they start popping out the bottom as deals. The problem is you have 5. You need 50. You need 100. You need people in there that are thinking about doing something. Why? Because a buyer, from the day they make a decision to start looking at houses to when they close, is somewhere around 6 months. So you have to get a bunch of people that are in the CRM that are being followed up on, that you're talking to be able to do it. Every single day, you need to be making a list. This is how you do 1 a month, of every single buyer. And you go, who's buying this month? Who do I have the opportunity to close this month? And if none of these people are going to close this month, what do you need to do? You need to make 5 more phone calls. Okay? You need to go out and meet some more people. You need to go knock some doors. People are going, well, I don't know which doors to knock. Okay. And every 3 to 5 people that you put in, you have 300 to 500 people that you now influence because you've built a relationship with them, and they'll start to send you people. Okay? The long term of that is the database, building it. The short term of it is you're going to find that person that wants to sell 30, 60, 90 days that's down and around the corner and says, yeah, we're thinking about it. We'd love to talk to you. And so you'll start to list property. And if you do that consistently 1 or 2 or 3 times a week, it takes you an hour because you're only going to get 5 people at home, but you're dropping it on every door, okay? And it's quick, it's simple. You're prospecting. You're looking for the person that's going to make the next move, okay? Well, the first one says, there's a new property on the market. Do you know anybody in the neighborhood that might want to buy? And they're going to go, what? No? Okay, great. Have you ever thought about making a move now or in the near future? Nope. Great, thank you. Good talk to you. Move to the next one. When it sells, we have extra buyers that are looking to buy in your neighborhood. You know anybody that might want to sell? And you know what? You were there once. They see you. They see your face. And they go, well, you'll find a nosy neighbor that says, Bob and Mary just around the corner might want to sell. I was talking with them the other day, and they'll direct you as you build relationship and you see people. And what do? You go knock on Bob and Mary's door, around the corner. And you're looking for the people that are moving in the next 30, 60 to 90 days, okay? But the long term of it is you're building database.
So you said questions you ask them, like, no, rather telephone
Okay.
number, email, I mean,
You start out because you get the program that Terry can give you that is on your cell phone, that you meet somebody, and we have a good exchange. You go, click, oh, that's Bob and Mary Smith. Okay, Bob and Mary Smith, you put them into your database, you got their address, you start a
oh,
drip
just the
campaign.
address. You can get that actually from.
Right, and then you go find them on Facebook, and you go friend them, and you find them on this, and you start to drip to them, okay? And you start to build the database. They go into which file? They go into the big file. And then you move them into the middle file, and then you move them into the, as they become hot, you move them into your best file, the people that you contact. And what people miss, if you're going to try and do one a month, is they don't have 120 people that know you and know you well. Okay? So you need to find 120 to 150 people that you know and they know you well. And you're in contact with them. You're in top of mind. You're doing the social media thing. You're doing the mail thing. You're doing the birthday cards. You're doing the things. And you complete the database. So, and if you do nothing else but meet 3 to 5 people a week and put them into your database, within a year to 2 years, you won't have to cold prospect to do 12. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Why? Because that's the way it works for me. And, you know, my fishing group, let me tell you about my fishing group. Since 1984, I've gone on a fishing trip with 60 guys. We take over a whole campground. And you know what my contribution is? 2 big bottles of Stoli and vodka, okay? And they're all business guys. And they're all looking to blow it out once a year, once a week for 3 days. And since 1984, I've never missed. And I have driven miles to make sure that I get there, because what happens when I get there? If somebody's new in the group and they talk about real estate, you know what the group does? Don, you know. And I don't do anything. I fish and I camp. I sleep in a tent and I provide Stoli. Okay? But in my database, I'm sorry, I'm going long, they get a certain type of mailer than my music people get. And my people at Montavo get a certain kind of mailer than my music people get. You know, my Kiwanis people get a certain kind of mailer than anybody else. The people at church, okay, get something different than my sheet metal guys get. Okay, so most of us don't know the people that are in the database to be able to work them enough to get their trust to be able to send you people they know and love and trust. Okay, and if you don't know them intimately, I had 10 guys that a certain joke would come across on the email. I'd make 10 copies and said, hey, I think you'd like to see this, right? Now you're going to do an email and it's not personal. But I would drop it in the mail to 10 people. And they'd open it up and they'd see it was for me and they'd get a good laugh at it and they're going, God, he's old school. But you know what? They open it up as top of mind, okay? And if you're not using thank you notes, okay, you're missing it. Thank you notes are like, who doesn't like to get a thank you note? Okay, those of you that have given me a business card, by tomorrow you're going to have an email, and what's it going to say? If you're not using a product called BombBomb or something like it that allows you to make a 2-second video, and Blake's going to shoot it because he happens to be here, and it's going to say thank you for coming to my class. I hope that you got something out of the class. If you have any questions, please call me. That's all it's going to say. But it's going to be embedded into an email that you can click on and see my face. Okay? That's what you call good marketing. Okay? Because what's the normal person going to do? They're going to send you a hand-typed, or not hand-typed, but an email that just says, you know, good to see you, blah, 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 blah. If I meet with you and you come into my office, the minute you leave my office, I hit the button and go, hey, Bob, it was good to see you. I look forward to seeing you next Thursday night. These are the 3 items that we need, and look forward to meeting your wife. And click, send, gone, okay? And it doesn't have to be perfect. Everybody goes, oh, I don't look good. Okay. Okay? But nobody else is doing it. And what's it build? It builds rapport. They see you. They get a flavor for who you are. And it builds trust. And it's the little things that you're not doing that don't get you the people enough to do the one a month. But every single day, go through your list of prospects and see who's going to do a deal. And if they're not going to do a deal, we'll find somebody else. Does that help? Was that good? All right, guys. We'll put it in for you.